Just letting you guys know you can listen to my No Bleeps podcast anywhere you stream podcasts or on my No Bleeps YouTube channel. Link in the description. Hey guys, it's Spilly and welcome back to Sesh. Today, we're continuing the conversation of what's been going on between Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein because Ethan has finally come out with a video addressing this entire situation and he did not hold back in the slightest, you guys. Ethan went all the way off on Trisha and spoke his mind about every single little thing that has been said about him, said about his family, and just really venting about how truly hurt he is. So let's get right on into it. The beginning of the video that Ethan posted titled "I'm done with Trisha Paytas off the rails" at number 8. He starts off with joking about the fact that he got a strike on the H3 channel and how they had to take the week off and they weren't allowed to post. And Ethan says that it hasn't been an easy week by any means. And if you guys didn't watch the last video or know exactly what's been going on with Ethan and Keemstar, basically Ethan made a video talking about Keemstar. Keemstar did not like the video, found it inappropriate, and so he flagged the video through his YouTube representative and he called Ethan out for it on Twitter and tagged the CEO of YouTube. Thus, Ethan ended up with a strike. He said that he didn't actually report the video on YouTube itself, like not on the platform, but he did bring attention to Ethan's video, and thus Ethan got hit with a strike, and his punishment was that he wasn't allowed to post on YouTube for a whole week. And obviously this was quite a week for him to not be able to post because of all the stuff that's been going on. And Ethan says that when he saw that Trisha followed Keemstar and Keem was making it a big deal, Ethan thought to himself, no, Trisha probably just followed him to keep up with things that are going on. And he just thought to himself that there was no way that Trisha would go on Keemstar's podcast. That would be totally beneath Trisha. As we all know, sure enough, it unfortunately was true. And Keem posted that photo confirming that Trisha was going to be on the Mom's Basement podcast. And Ethan said that his reaction to this whole thing was that this was betrayal on a whole new level, especially since days before this, Trisha was totally trashing Keem.
This is betrayal on a whole new level. I mean, especially considering just how much smack Trisha had talked about Keemstar, like literally 2 days ago.
Ethan says that he wanted to take the high road on this, but he's just so sick of Trisha disrespecting him and his family and causing problems, lying, and being so toxic. He says he is over Trisha. He is completely over it. He says Trisha went as low as possible. Like, he is done dealing with Trisha. He doesn't want to deal with Trisha anymore. He said that he was close to even privating all the Frenemies episodes because he's still paying Trisha for those episodes, but he's staying loyal to their verbal contract and people would just re-upload them anyways. He says those episodes also just prove how Trisha is constantly contradicting themselves, and that's a reason why he doesn't want to associate with Trisha anymore, because of all of these contradictions. Ethan says that the only thing he said all week about this was that he tweeted his reaction to seeing the photo of Trisha with Keemstar, saying that he was really sad, that photo made him really sad. That's all he said. And Ethan basically calculated that as a result of him being sad and tweeting out that he was sad, Trisha went on to make 27 TikToks about him, a 42-minute video about him, and 23 tweets about him, calling him a cult leader, saying that his fans are harassing them. And he says, did you expect me not to be sad about this? Ethan says, once again, it's the timing of all of this, a time where he is suspended from his channel. He says Trisha clearly did this to hurt him and says that it did hurt him, and that obviously Keem was super happy about all of this, and mentions Keem's response to Ethan's tweet saying, W's, more W's. This to me is just like, how can Trisha sit there and say them going on this podcast wasn't in some way directed at Ethan? Like, this has everything to do with Ethan for Keem especially. And he's literally saying it's a win on top of a win. Like, he's rubbing it in Ethan's face that Trisha has betrayed him and is collabing with him, the enemy. I also do want to mention that Keemstar tried to call out drama channels and T channels, saying, by saying that Trisha can't go on his podcast, that's basically saying that Ethan owns Trisha Anybody can do whatever they want. Trisha could go on this podcast, yeah, sure, but it's not a good look. And the issue that people have about it is that Trisha won't even admit that it's not a good look. Trisha's trying to justify this whole thing when there's so many times where something very similar to this has happened to Trisha, where a friend has betrayed them and they are upset about it. And Trisha even has said that if Ethan had Gabby on the podcast, they would have been devastated.
Like, would it like devastated me, like really like hurt me? I mean, like I would never do that to you. Like, anyways, it just made me laugh that like he didn't.
Obviously, Trisha has changed their story now because obviously they have betrayed Ethan, but nobody is saying that Ethan controls Trisha and that is property of Ethan. Trisha can do whatever they want to do, but don't say, I would be upset if this person did that, and then go and do that to them, and then act like they have no room to be upset. Anyways, Ethan then brings up that his mom responding to this whole thing and getting involved by joking about being excited to go to the wedding and then being like, not. Ethan says that his mom was just being protective of him, standing up for her son. And when he saw that she had tweeted that, he was like, oh, Jesus, mom. And he said that he didn't even know that she said that until it was already done. And he appreciates her standing up for him, but they're going to get more into it on families because she wants to speak on this herself. Ethan then brings up this tweet from Keem where he says, Ethan's mother now refusing to go to Trisha's wedding because she came on my podcast. The W is too big. I mean, how does Trisha see this and defend going on the podcast? Like, this guy that you collabed with is celebrating your family's destruction. Ethan says Trisha cannot fake ignorance.
Like, oh, I'm just going there to have a conversation. No, you're being there to be a useful keemstar to try to cause problems in my family. It's creepy and weird.
And then he starts to play this clip where Trisha is saying that they don't think Keem deserves a platform.
I don't think any other channel should be banned off YouTube except for literally Keemstar.
And then they play another clip from 1 week ago, literally 1 week ago, where Trisha says they will always have Ethan's back. And the idea of going on Drama Alert is like, meh. It's like Ethan and I have to see each other. Like, I have a wedding coming up and says she's not that irrelevant enough to go on Drama Alert and have a collab with Keemstar.
And at the end of the day, I always will have like Ethan's back. Like the idea of even going on like Drama Alert, I was just like, you know, because like regardless, like we're gonna have to see each other, right? Like I have a wedding coming up, like I hope they come, all this stuff like that. Like we have to see each other eventually. So I'm not trying to like also Drama Alert trash. Like I'm not that bad. Like Keemstar called me irrelevant. Like I'm not that bottom of the barrel. Yeah. Like I'm not that irrelevant. Yeah. Like
I guess she hit the bottom of the barrel. I guess she is that irrelevant. Happened in the course of a week. She's kind of dissing herself in the most severe way possible right now.
Like, this is insane to me. It's clear from this clip Trisha knew exactly what collabing with Keemstar meant and how disrespectful it would be for Ethan. And this is exactly why people are so frustrated with Trisha. Trisha has said before they know exactly how much this would hurt Ethan and then went and did it anyways, and then afterwards acted like they were so surprised that people were upset at them. Now, something that I've been seeing starting to get talked about, especially after Ethan posted this video, is Moses. People shining the light on Moses because Trisha did not go to Keemstar's Mom's Basement podcast and film alone. Moses went with Trisha and was sitting on the couch next to Keemstar's girlfriend and was smiling ear to ear watching Trisha on this podcast. And people are like, this is probably the ultimate betrayal right here. Moses, Hila's own blood, Hila's freaking brother, sitting there smiling, watching his future wife collaborate with somebody that has called his sister a horse and made his sister cry. As much as everybody is very upset at Trisha, people are like, you know, hey, what about Moses? Moses is not in the right here either and is letting this all happen. Back to what Ethan was saying in this video, he then brings up how Trisha stressed so hard during the final days of Frenemies that they were so unprofessional and all this. And Trisha continued to go on other podcasts after Frenemies broke up saying, oh, I wish we had that on Frenemies. I always wanted that.
Oh, this is so fucking cute. This is like what I wanted on front of me. I'm like, can we just talk about that?
And Ethan is like, how can you say those things and then not get them for yourself? He said Trisha's videos are low quality, and if you're going to quit because of quality, then step it up on your own channel.
She canceled the show because our production quality wasn't up to her standards, and she's sitting in an empty room, echoey, totally unedited. It's dumb. The quality is. I'm not making a value judgment on what she's saying. I'm just saying, if you're going to quit the show because the production's not up to your quality, you better step it up.
I will say, because I feel like Trisha is going to have an issue with this statement, and it's probably going to come back with something like, I didn't quit frenemies, Ethan told the crew they wanted everyone fired, and then I wasn't comfortable, and then it was over. But all in all, I mean, Ethan is trying to say, don't criticize the quality of our production and say how you can hire people that can do better and that you know people that could make it better, and then have your videos not look like proper quality. Ethan then calls out Trisha for not confronting Keemstar, even after all they said in all the videos that they made last week about how bad Keemstar was, and even videos that weren't filmed last week, videos from a year ago or a couple months ago of Trisha calling out Keemstar, saying that he should be deplatformed and all of this stuff. And Trisha kept saying, just wait, nobody's seen the podcast. We have a conversation, we talk it out, we hold him accountable, he admits to things he did wrong. I mean, just barely. I mean, the conversation was literally them giggling and hyping each other up and trashing Ethan. Ethan says that it's cowardly Trisha couldn't hold the same opinions in person with Keemstar, and says that Trisha is so spineless and asks, how are you real?
She said, how did it get blown out of proportion? You! Just sit there in front of Keemstar and his girlfriend and act like, how did this get blown out of proportion? Oh my God. How are you real?
And then, you guys, he says this, and I was actually screaming, like, I was literally screaming. Ethan was not holding back in this episode at all. He said that Trisha is unhinged and, like, lower to the ground the more unhinged. I was like, I'm gonna lose it right here. Like, these comments that Ethan was making, I couldn't believe, you guys.
What was one of Trisha's most unhinged videos of all time? The lower she gets to the ground, the more unhinged the video is.
But I do think that if Trisha had gone on Mom's Basement and actually held Keemstar accountable for things that they didn't like that Keem has said and done, that this wouldn't be so bad. Like, the situation wouldn't be so bad. But it was super clear that there was no holding him accountable at all. And like I said yesterday, Keem literally admitted that the whole episode is just them trashing Ethan. Later on, Ethan says that he feels like Trisha is confessing and projecting a little bit when it comes to how frenemies ended. Trisha tried to say on the Mom's Basement podcast, once Ethan saw the comments on the last frenemies episode and that everybody was against Trisha, that's when he was like, it should be done. And Ethan says that's simply not true. He doesn't really look at comments for his own mental health, and says that Trisha is the one that reads literally all the comments. Ethan also made a point to say that Trisha keeps saying that Ethan is sending hate their way. Ethan is sending his subscribers and his audience to Trisha's channel to hate on them. And Ethan is like, the H3 audience is also your audience too.
Trisha's got this weird thing where she thinks that all the hate she's getting is just H3 fans. I hate to break it to you, Trisha, but I think they're mostly your fans that are become disillusioned with you.
There's so many people saying, I love you, Trisha, but in the comments of their video, people tried so hard to like Trisha and give them a pass for all that was in the past. But in the recent months, that's all washed away. And not because of anything Ethan has done or said or encouraged. It's all mostly from what people have witnessed with their own eyes and heard with their own ears out of Trisha's mouth. I mean, literally all Ethan said this past week was that he was sad. And before that, people were already reacting to the photo of Keem with Trisha. People were already upset about it because they knew what that was going to do to Ethan. Without Ethan even coming out and saying anything, people were already reacting. Like, Trisha's actions cause reactions. Ethan later says that Trisha and Keem really deserve themselves. There's no consistency. They believe only in themselves. They only say and do anything to get the upper hand, and say that they should make a show called Hypocrites or POSs.
Keemstar and Trisha really deserve themselves. They have no consistency. They believe in nothing but themselves. They'll say and do anything to get the upper hand. They're total hypocrites. I think, you know what? I think they deserve each other.
And then, you guys, probably the one that will affect Trisha the most, he says that Gerard Way should get a restraining order now and that he shouldn't wait for something to happen. And Adam Sandler too, saying that Trisha was walking around in his clothes and that they need a restraining order.
Gerard Way, get a restraining order now. Don't wait. Don't wait for something to happen, because that girl is unhealthily obsessed with you. Get a restraining order, Gerard Way, now. Don't wait.
And may I say Adam Sandler?
Adam Sandler, you may want a restraining order as well. That woman is walking around in your clothes. That is abnormal behavior.
You guys, I was literally like crying over this because we all know how dedicated Trisha was to buying every single one of Adam Sandler's costumes off of eBay and wearing them, and how, you know, obsessed Trisha is with these people. And for Ethan to literally tell them to get a restraining order, oh my freaking God. Later, Ethan says that Trisha was so willing to be used by Keem. Like, he literally just used Trisha to get at Ethan, not for a healthy conversation or to talk it out or to take accountability. He literally just brought Trisha on the podcast to get under Ethan's skin. And Ethan says that Trisha totally got played by them. Ethan says that he questions everything Trisha ever told him because of how many lies Trisha has told and Trisha has been caught in, especially this week. All these TikToks and video compilations that have been made where Trisha is saying one thing and then later is saying something completely opposite to that. Then we get into the real juicy stuff right here. This has to do with the final episode of Frenemies, the famous lost episode that never got aired, the one where Trisha claims it frees them of everything and clears their name. Now, we have heard Trisha say that things did get a little heated.
We did get into it and it got like a little heated.
But they felt like this episode was a really good one in the end. And I think the only reason why Trisha was saying that was because they heard the words, "I messed up and I'm sorry," and Trisha swears up and down this is the only time Ethan ever took any sort of accountability for anything during their last episode of Frenemies fight, when in reality, Ethan had already done that. He had already admitted to messing up on certain things in their fight, but Trisha swears it was only in this one unseen episode that they recorded that Ethan apologized and took accountability, and that they were going to hold it over Ethan's head forever that he didn't want to put it on the internet. And Ethan explains why he didn't want to put this on the internet, because he says that, you know, at the time when he wanted to do this last episode, the idea behind it was the fact that he was feeling bad. He wanted to make amends and wanted to get the family together, wanted to be on good terms. And he said things went sideways. There were more accusations. The whole thing was icky. He regretted it immediately. He was uncomfortable. He just wanted it to end right when they got started and thought that it was so bad and it was just not worth going up. It was not good at all. It sounded like a horrible experience, honestly.
I was feeling bad about how everything had gone down. I was feeling bad about the rift that it had caused in the family and everything, and I wanted to make amends. And in my heart, I thought, what would be great is if we could just come together for one final episode, for it to be wholesome, for it to be just a beautiful experience where we just reflect on the nice experience we have and part ways amicably. As soon as we sat down, basically almost immediately, it just went sideways. It just went off the rails. And honestly, it got to a point where I just really wanted it to end. I was very uncomfortable. I was regretting my decision to have them over. I didn't want to argue anymore. And that was basically it. I was like, this is bad. It's really not worth going up. It's just gonna make everything worse.
And he says that Trisha is so stuck on the fact that he apologized in this unaired Frenemies episode, and he brings up the fact that he had already admitted fault in videos before this.
This whole claim that like I had never apologized to her, she keeps saying like he apologized. I proved that I never said I wanted to fire the crew. You know, I admitted in my first video about Trisha leaving Frenemies that I messed up in showing the crew the text. Once again, in the first video, is that I was talking to the crew like, Trisha wants to, I was like, listen, Trisha wants to hire a new crew.
And just for the record, in case Trisha missed the other videos where Ethan took accountability, he says it in this video.
So I shouldn't have sent the screenshot to them. I agree. I lean on the crew for a lot of things. So like I usually tell them everything.
And he wonders if Trisha will stop saying he never apologized or take accountability. Then we get into the fact that Trisha recorded their conversation. And Trisha has been saying this. I mean, Trisha admitted it right when they posted the video. We recorded a Frenemies episode, but it won't air. Trisha literally says that they recorded what was said on this final unaired Frenemies episode because they've been on podcasts before where they've been edited. So Trisha wanted to make sure that they had a copy for themselves to make sure that like nothing was missing or anything like that.
I listened back. I recorded it as well just for my own sake, just to like because I just, you know, you have a feeling, right? I've done podcasts where they like edit things and then you're like, but I thought this happened. So I'm just like listening it back to my own thing.
I mean, everybody found it so disturbing. In the comments, this is the one thing that people were talking about. Ethan was so hurt by this. The crew was disturbed by this. They were talking about the fact that not only did Trisha come into the home and record them recording the Frenemies final episode, but Trisha came into the home already recording. Trisha was recording before they started recording the Frenemies episode and was recording after they recorded the Frenemies episode. Ethan said that he couldn't believe that Trisha would secretly record him. Like, there was no permission or anything like that. Trisha came into the home recording.
They secretly recorded us, which was like kind of devastating to me, that they came into the house, secretly recorded our conversations before and after the podcast and during, and have basically been I'm going to say threatening, but like, the thing is, I don't care if they release it. So it's not like a threat. I don't know why they think it's such a big deal. It's just a messy episode. But I guess in their mind, they think they've been threatening us with like, well, we recorded it. Here it is. We're going to release it. I'm listening to it back. It's like, I just found that like such a violation to come into our house and secretly record us. I was like, wow. I was like, no way they would come into my house and record and secretly record like that. That's crazy.
For anyone, but they're
and I was like
family.
I was like, no, there's no way they would do that. And sure enough, as soon as Trisha gets the first chance, she starts being like, I was listening back to it because I recorded it. It's like, nah, they were secretly recording us. It's.
And he just seemed so hurt that Trisha would secretly record him in the family, like come into his home and record him. And that's also illegal in California. You can't record somebody without their permission. And he says, I don't care if Trisha releases it. It's just not a pretty convo. And he wanted to reunite the family and heal some wounds, but it was extremely regretful and it just wouldn't have been good for anybody to release that video. It's just clear that Ethan didn't put this episode out because they did get into a fight and it wasn't pretty, and he didn't think it was going to do anyone any good to see this particular episode. And in the end, he says that he is just done. He is done with the situation. He is over this whole thing, peace and love. And that is what he had to say on this. Now, Trisha stayed pretty silent on Ethan's video and hasn't responded directly to it. The only thing that Trisha has done is delete every single Enemies episode that they ever put onto their channel. Not Frenemies, but Enemies, the podcast-ish sit-down show that Trisha created after Frenemies ended, where they talk about their enemies. And this is where they called Keemstar out, David, Natalie, all of that. All those videos are now gone. I don't know if it's because those videos have been used to contradict things that Trisha has been saying recently or what, but that has been the only real response. Trisha did upload a video onto their channel titled No More Enemies, but this video was filmed prior to his response to Trisha. So I don't know if Trisha is going to hold up what they said in this video, because Trisha tried to say that they don't have any more enemies, they're not posting any more enemy episodes, they're staying off social media, not checking any comments, and they're no longer going to be engaging in drama. So I don't know if Trisha is going to change how they feel after actually watching Ethan's video or not, but I guess that is to be determined. But I definitely want to know what you guys think about this entire situation in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.